And we're back with another episode of Franchise My Business, the podcast for franchisors, hosted by franchisors. I'm your host, Kevin Oldham, and we're at the beginning stages of season 2. Quick gratitude to all of our listeners. We deeply appreciate you. This season, we're talking to a wider variety of franchise executives, operators, affiliated professionals. Last season, we were talking to a lot of founders, and this season, we're talking to varied professionals in the industry. And today's conversation, I think, is going to be really cool because we're going to talk to a seasoned franchise executive, a gentleman who's been serving with the same organization for 14 years. He's started in marketing and then worked his way up to the president role. He's an owner of that organization. Just really, really cool brand that's part of the 5-star brand portfolio. So we're going to talk to the president of Got You Covered. I've got Paul Linenberg on today. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Kevin, thanks for having me. I guess I fit the seasoned category. You can see all the gray in my beard. I've earned it. Congratulations on your second season, by the way. The season 2 means season 1 must have been successful for you. So congrats, and looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, no, season 1 was actually great. Like, we didn't know what to expect, and then it went great. And I took January off because I was a little bit tired, and actually wasn't sure I wanted to sign up to do another one. And I decided I did. And so here we are, and I'm thankful because now I get to visit with you. So I love the fact that you've been with, or in a world where longevity with employers isn't a thing anymore, or is rare. You've been with your company for 14 years, right?
That's right. And
I'm awesome.
Blessed. Yeah, well, I'm blessed in this way, and there's a little bit of egotism. Well, that's not the right word. Maybe control, because I, Kevin, am in the unique position of choosing everybody I get to work with. So as the president of the company, I get to choose our staff. And I get final say on the franchise owners we invite to join in the system. And so what's better than that is choosing everybody that I get to work with. So I've been able to build a company that I would want to work for and stuff it with people that I want to work with. So I love it. I'm so blessed.
That's an amazing way to articulate it, man. Yeah. And I'm like, I've been doing that for the past 10 years. And I don't say it out loud, but I know it. And it's such a great feeling because when you come to work, for me, it doesn't really feel like work. I mean, some days it does. That is super, super cool. I think a lot of people will probably be envious of you.
Yeah, like, think about that.
How do you get to that point? But it's longevity and working hard, right? It wasn't overnight that happened.
And taking the risk, right? You're right. You're not finding that in the corporate world. I think you got to take the big step of business ownership or some version. Franchising is a huge space. There's so many things you can do in this world, which is one of the reasons why once you're in it, boy, you're not getting out of this place because there's so many things you can do. I mean, you can do what I'm doing. You can be a broker, franchise owner. You can do podcasts. Like, come on.
Yeah. Huge. You can own a marketing company that helps franchisors like I do. You can invest in franchise systems. I mean, you're right. It is one of those industries that's just so massive. But what's also kind of cool about it is it's kind of small. It's kind of like my town that I'm in. I'm in Kansas City. We have like a couple million people here, but it's not that big. Meaning you can go to a restaurant and chances are you're going to see somebody even though there's a couple million people here. Right. Yeah. And I feel like that's the way the franchise industry is.
Yeah, for sure. You go to these events every year, you're seeing some of the same faces. Like they may be wearing a different shirt or have a different name tag on or, a badge on, but same people, because that's the thing. You tend to recycle a little bit. You have the opportunity to move into different roles in franchising. I think my experience, I didn't intend to get into franchising. I've met few people that ever did, but once you're in it, like there's so many opportunities to be a part of. So
yeah, it's like once you start building out your network. I mean, I've become known as franchise expert in my sphere of influence. So everybody has their own sphere of influence, and then within it, today I've had 2 inbound phone calls, and they were about franchising because I'm the franchise guy that they know in my sphere of influence. Right.
Right,
and so I don't know. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm an expert. Yeah, I mean, if you've been doing it for a while, you're an expert. So
Right.
there you go.
Great.
So you started out as marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
were you director of marketing? Tell me you were like the lowest marketing coordinator or whatever the lowest position was. Tell me you started in the mailroom as a marketing
Don't hold
coordinator.
that against me. Like we were a small company, so I was the marketing
Yeah.
department. I
You
got a
were
bit.
the department.
I was the
Okay.
marketing director, so I didn't. Nobody was. I wasn't directing anybody but myself, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so we ran with that as long as we could. And then as you grow as a franchise system, like there just becomes a certain point where you got to have help. And so
Yeah.
we started to layer in resources. And now as a president of the company, I still think in a marketing way, but I do have a marketing director and she's got some staff under her. So it's
That's
it's
cool.
it's in the hands of the professionals now.
And as well as knowing, and this is what I think is cool about marketing focused, CEOs and presidents, because sometimes some of those folks will be finance focused, right?
Oh,
The
right.
background of the person who ends up being at the helm of the organization kind of tells you then what type of organization they are. So are you guys a heavily marketing focused type of organization?
Yeah. I say we're a marketing company that just happens to sell window treatments, right? And like nobody else has to think about it that way, but we
Yeah.
think about we think about it that way. So that drives all of our behavior, and marketing is critical, right? I mean, if you take two companies of equal skill and product, the one that's going to succeed better is the one that has better marketing, right? So it can
Yep.
make a huge impact on your business. I'm preaching to the choir for you, but yeah. So we're a marketing company. We think.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the organization. So, got you covered. How old is the company? How
Yeah,
long's it
our
been
roots
around?
go back to the early 2000s, but we kind of joined forces with another company in 2009 and rebranded as Gotcha Covered. So I would say
Yep.
that's kind of our most recent route. So yeah, we're at almost 15 years now. 15 years this
15
June.
years.
Yeah.
And the business model for people that may not be familiar with it is you guys are in the window covering space, window treatment space.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Custom
Yep.
window treatments, blind shutter shades, self treatments, anything you need for the exterior or for the interior of a window. Yep.
Okay. So nothing on the exterior, it's all interior.
Yeah, you know what? There's a caveat there, Kevin. I'm glad you brought that up because exterior shades are becoming a lot more prevalent.
Hmm.
Not the shutters, not the exterior shutters, but
Right.
if you have like a pergola, a patio, something that
Hmm.
gets the afternoon sun, or you want to keep the bugs out, we're now doing a lot more exterior shades, which are legitimate. 16 feet wide, motorized can raise them up and down for shade when you need them. They're fantastic. So those are
That's
becoming
cool.
really really popular, not just in Florida and Texas, but really up north, right? For those really sunny summer days where you just want some shade.
Or anybody whose house faces,
Yeah,
I guess, the west at
the
night.
West.
It's like the front of my house gets blasted with sun. It's like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh. And so
yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
right.
awesome.
That's right.
But I love sitting on the front porch and looking at the sunset. One of my favorite things. So
Yeah, that's
well,
good.
let's talk about the biz itself. I want to talk about it from from a franchise perspective, because it's business to business podcast, or we could talk about
Right.
how you guys help consumers and all those things. But let's talk about the business opportunity as it relates to your current franchise operators. So first of all, like, what does the coverage look like throughout the United States? How many locations do you guys
Yeah,
have?
yeah, we've got about 170 right now across the U.S. and Canada. Most work from home, although a few have grown into retail storefronts with signage
Okay.
and store managers and regular business hours. That's a minority, but it can happen in our business. One of the things that's pretty attractive, what we hear about our owners who decide to join is the flexibility. You can start as a single owner operator. You can remain that for as long as you want to. You can
Okay.
have your spouse join you or a partner, your sister, brother. You can have salespeople. You can have an in-house installer. You can grow into a shared space. You can grow into a full retail space. Like the different variations of Got You Covered are more than you find in the vast majority of other franchise systems. So it gives you some flexibility in how you want to grow the business, and you don't have to determine that when you start. You can just let that
Cool.
evolve and kind of roll into it as you see fit, and your needs change, and your availability and your funding changes. Like all that is on the franchise owner to decide.
I love that because the flexibility aspect, you look at buying a business or getting involved. Some people look at a franchise and they're like, well, man, a lot of rules. Well, yeah, they're to save you from yourself. We figured it out. And so, yeah, that's part of the thing. But still having, this, trying to, I'm just going to laugh. I got to laugh out loud. Back in my last company, we had like 600 franchisees. It was like herding cats sometimes. Yeah. I was the CMO. I was Captain Buzzkill when it came to brand compliance and all those things. Like, I know what it's like to try to manage franchisees. They have ideas. They're smart. They're entrepreneurs. Like they bring something to the table. So giving them the flexibility to be able to operate their business as their life changes, I think is really, really cool, because that's not the way a lot of franchises are.
Yeah, and from your experience, it's really, really hard to provide a consistent set of resources and tools while maintaining the brand, because everybody invested in the brand for a reason, and assuming that you're going to protect it. So that's where the rubber meets the road, man. It's hard. That's the balancing act that we talk about every day, and it's always around marketing, right? Marketing.
It is. And I always felt like I'm the guy who would color outside the lines as well. I'm a terrible enforcer of rules. I'm like, no, I get it. I understand why you did this, and actually, it makes sense. Yeah. But it goes against the style guide, and the style guide probably doesn't make sense. But it is what it is. Yeah. So I love the simplicity. I'm assuming maybe it's just a low overhead model for your operators, then.
That's another thing.
Super low.
We say it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of moving parts. You don't need a storefront. There's no inventory. There's no accounts receivable, and the overhead working from home is
minimal.
It really, really is. And so you can do quite well without needing a huge sales volume, right? Because the margins are strong, the overhead's low, the contingency is low, and the liability's less. You're not chasing dollars. It's it's upon order. So so I just talked to somebody today, and I've heard this 100, well, maybe 200, 300 times, Kevin, which is, I asked how this candidate heard about us and why he was considering Gotcha Covered, and he said, well, I decided I want to explore business ownership, and then my franchise consultant or broker or coach presented me with a few models, and when I heard about Gotcha Covered, I said, I'm not interested. And then she's like, well, keep an open mind and learn more about it, and then see what you think, because we know nobody grows up wanting to sell window treatments. Like that's a 100% fact. We're locked.
Who kids ever said, you know what, I want to be a window treatment consultant?
No. A race car driver over here, rock star over here, baseball player, and then there's your window treatment kid. It's never happened. So,
you're right. It's probably never happened. Yeah,
and it won't. So he was, but he had the I don't know what is it, the intellectual curiosity, or he felt like he owed it to himself to explore, right? Even though at first glance he said, nah, I'm not sure about that. But then when he looked at the flexibility and income and like all of those things, now he's very seriously considering joining. And I hope he does, because I think he's a great candidate. I love him to join Gotcha Covered.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening, Mr. Candidate, it sounds like this is a phenomenal business model. And once you're past your 14-day hold period, we'd like you to join the company. So there you go.
Where's the invitation? Thanks, Kevin.
There you go. This is not. Now we got to read the legal disclaimer at the bottom of your website, right? This is not an offer for a franchise. Blah, 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 blah. All right. The joys of being in a regulated industry, which, by the way, I think it is good that we have some regulation in our industry. We're talking about making big decisions, bigger than a house. I think it's smart. How do you? So like, what's the day in the life of a franchisee? Are most of these independent? Like, hey, they're the people that will go out and do the measuring aspect and all those. Like, what's it look like? Like mechanically, like how's your average? Let's say you're number 25 franchisee in the country. So not number one. Number one usually does things a little bit different. So let's say number 25 top performer. Yeah. What's their world look like?
Yeah, they're not making money if they're in the house, so we want them to be out of the house, talking to people. Ours is a very relationship oriented business. We want our owners to go and network with other business owners in the community, business owners, realtors, interior designers, to build a network of referrals. And
Okay.
so the desire and the gratification of building relationships is really, really important to Gotcha Covered and to our owners. So they're out there, they're at networking events, they're at the Chamber of Commerce, meeting people. Then they're in the home, consulting with the homeowner, understanding, what their needs are. They do measure the windows, and then
Okay.
there's an educational process because nobody knows how to buy window treatments, or very few do. Because how often have you ever done it? Have you ever?
Twice.
Okay.
I did it when we built our house,
Okay.
and then I did it 2 years ago when we remodeled the entire inside.
Okay. So every decade, or
Yeah,
something.
literally, it was like 12 years. Yeah, it was 12
Yeah.
years.
Okay. Okay.
Every 12 years. Yep.
So there,
It's not something that's very often. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. So you need some hand holding, right? Or
Yes.
or else you're going to
Yes,
end
you
up
do.
with something very basic, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for those that have a nicer house or care more about
Yeah.
design or functionality or automation, they want that consultant to come in and educate them. So here's what I'm thinking about. Here's what I need. How can you help me? What products and services do you offer? So then there's an educational aspect. Hey, here's what I think would work for you. What do you think? Very consultative process. They get to the end of it and they say, yeah, this is a good solution for me. Then we sign the order and order the products from our manufacturers. They have it shipped to typically a third party installer, Kevin. It's not usually an in-house installer, but it can be.
That's what I was wondering, if you subcontract that out third parties. Okay.
Yeah, the number one guy, he does, as you said, have his own installing team.
He does.
But number 25 probably doesn't, and so he or she would have the product sent to the installer. The installer will go out to the homeowner, install the products. Final payment is made at the time, and we have a very happy customer that's now hopefully going to rave about Gotcha Covered, and our franchise owners on to the next consultation with the homeowner.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Very,
Where are
very
they getting their leads from? Do they get to generate? I mean, obviously you said referrals. So like kind of being, I'm gonna do a pun here. All right. So everybody,
Let's do it.
everybody just get ready. All right. So
Take your time, Kevin.
do you guys, I know. I get it. It's not very often that this happens. Okay. All right. So are you guys covering everything in terms of your playbook on how to generate leads for your franchisees, or do they have to cover that themselves? Now, every time I say the word cover, like I'm gonna snicker. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah, I'm
See where
tracking.
I'm going? It's not that good too. It's not that good. It's not that funny.
Well,
but
it's good. It's good.
so getting back to this whole playbook, like figuring out relationships and all those things. What if is that really what the primary biz dev activity is? Like being the fabric in the community? There's another one.
Yeah.
No one does better.
Well, let me get my drum set out.
Where's the tip jar at? Where's the tip jar? I need a co-host on here to give this is amazing. This is amazing.
Good stuff. I can't compete, Kevin. Come on, man. You're supposed to elevate me, not you, right? But that's fine.
I know. But they just keep coming out. They just keep coming out. But seriously, are they supposed to be fabric of the community?
Yeah. So half when you're mature, half your leads will come from, or more will come from referrals.
Okay,
Referrals
got
are gold.
Yep.
Reputation. Cool. So I can't not mention our reputation because I think it's unique in franchising. If you've ever heard of this, please let me know because I really would like to know. Our review score across all time and locations is 4.9 out of 5. That's collective.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's insane.
If you ever hear, let me know because it's hard enough to get it with just one location, but 170 locations is
that's insane.
So it has to do though with that networking, the relationships, the referrals, the client focus, and then on the side of that, we have this whole omni-channel marketing approach, which you would appreciate. The digital side, the non-digital side. Right? So other than product knowledge, which is the biggest area of expertise our owners have to get their arms around, it's marketing, right? Because it's a big world, it's complex, and it's we have the scale, we have the resources to set ourselves apart from the vast majority of our competitors, and that's a key competitive advantage we have is our marketing savvy. We just have way
Yeah,
more tools at scale, more affordable than any independent competitor could reasonably do in any
that's
cost
awesome.
effective way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love too is you guys provide something that, I think that there's a lot of people in the world who are, I don't want to use the word worried, but they're curious around changing the changing landscape of the workforce as generative AI starts to become more of a thing. And
Yeah.
knowledge workers are starting to be like, wow, like what does this mean for my industry in 5 years, right? When you get back to things like window treatments, it takes a human to put them up,
Yeah.
takes a
Yeah.
human to figure out another human, talk to another human and give you some ideas on what's going to work. So, pretty cool industry. I think that industries like this are going to be the ones that, people start putting more attention in, right? It's like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
this is a need. People always need to like keep out the sun. We always get shelter, some Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There you
It's
go.
flat out needed.
Yeah. Well,
So
well
yeah,
said.
that's awesome.
Nice reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We feel pretty good about not being able to
Yeah.
be replaced with AI. Now, the technology in our industry will be controlling your shades. I mean, right now you can do it with remotes, you can do it with apps and set
Yeah.
schedules. For my house, the shades come up in the morning and they go down at night. I don't have to touch anything. So we
It's
have
all
that.
automated.
Yeah, and then
That's
like
cool.
as the sun moves around the house, like you trigger it to close if the sun's hitting the particulars. So like that's where the technology is going
That's
to be
cool.
for us. But we're heavy on samples like look, touch, and feel. You want to
Yeah.
see the product, you want to touch it, you want to look, hold it up to the window.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's not going to be that
Tactile. Yeah.
soon. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Person to person in somebody's home.
right.
Gotta love people. Gotta care a little bit about
Yeah,
design and know
yeah.
have a good design sense,
Spot on,
and then everything
spot
else
on.
it sounds like can be taught, right?
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah. Um, when it comes to the investment level, like what does it take to open up a location? Say I'm somebody in Kansas City. Um, what's the initial franchise fee and then total capex to
Yeah,
get up and running if somebody wants to open their own location?
yeah. That's all. Franchise fee 69,000. There's a starter
Okay.
package about 20, and then some working capital, some marketing investment. So in
Under
very, very
150?
yeah,
Yeah.
very. We
Yeah.
ask for 150 is all you
Okay.
need, and
Okay.
and
Perfect.
a lot of that is just reserves, right?
Okay.
So we feel like that's a really good number. That's all you need
Yeah. That's
to get this
awesome.
up and running. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love finding, particularly like biz opportunities that people can get into that, don't require millions of dollars and,
Yeah,
tie
yeah,
it up your capital, whatnot.
right.
Um,
Hmm.
Particularly as we do look at things, I would anticipate the franchise systems like yours as, maybe some knowledge workers that are, have some great income and things like that. Maybe their jobs change. They're like,
Yeah,
COVID caused a lot of people to look at self-employment, frankly. Right.
yeah, yeah,
And so there'll probably be a trend of people going into, as we like to say, just these normal businesses that most people don't think about. Window
yeah. That's right.
treatments, not super
Hmm.
sexy. Nobody
Yeah,
wakes up thinking, hey, I'm going to do this with my life. But then once you figure out you can create a cool business, it's not super complex. It's a pretty simple business in terms of what it does and how it works. I understand when you go into people's houses, it's deeply personal.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that part's not simple at all. But
Yeah, yeah,
um,
but the right kind of person, that's mature and
yeah.
client focused and authentic. That's another thing we look at. So
Mm, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, that's awesome.
yeah,
What do you guys see as the future? I mean, you've been around for a long time. You're a mature
yeah,
system. What do you see
yeah,
as your
yeah,
future?
yeah. We are.
Continue to do
Well,
more? Or are you running out of territories? Like,
yeah, no, we're good. We feel like we could scale quickly if we lowered the bar for the caliber of the franchise owner. But we are insistent on growing responsibly. That
mhm,
reputation I just mentioned, that
yeah,
4.9, like we've just started to scratch the surface. As a marketing person, you understand how incredibly valued
yeah,
that is in the equity of the brand, and so we're really careful about that. This year, our goal, so 2024, we would want to award 40 franchises to
okay,
high caliber people. So it's very manageable. We can scale that responsibly. We can grow
mhm,
our systems in a way that supports that versus gets overwhelmed, and then we
yeah.
start to lose the quality of the support to our owners. So that's a really really good pace for us, and we could do that for the next 10 years and be perfectly fine.
Oh, awesome. Won't
Yeah.
run out of windows to cover, which is great. And yeah, I see that on your website now. You got 4.9 out of 5 stars. What you guys could put on there is across all locations, which is like,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
listeners, that's not an easy thing to do. Particularly if you deal with the public, like, I mean, you can there's no accountability when it comes to reviews. People can leave anonymous, not completely anonymous, but there's no accountability. So that's awesome work on behalf of your team members and the culture that you guys have set and the standards you've set. So
yeah, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that.
If people want to learn more about your organization, let's say we got somebody who's like, man, this actually does sound like the type of business opportunity that I am curious about learning more about. What's the best place for them to go to do that?
Yeah, I would say we have a fair amount of information on our franchising website, gotchacoveredfranchising.com, gotchacoveredfranchising.com. That's a great place to start. You can get a general overview, and then there's contact forms and phone numbers and stuff. And if you want to start having dialogue with us, we're very low pressure, and it's just about education and deciding mutually if this is a good fit. We're not out to sell anybody on anything, but we're just happy to have a conversation with anybody who's interested.
Awesome, Paul. Thank you so much for taking time to visit with our guests or with our listeners. You've been a tremendous guest.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. It's been a blast. You're an energetic host and a lot of fun. So thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end. If you're a regular listener, I don't have too many asks. I just ask if you enjoy our show to hit the subscribe button. And furthermore, if you get benefit out of this conversation and you feel inclined to leave a review, please do so. I read every single one of them, and they mean the world to us. Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin Oldham. I hope you have a phenomenal week and be well.